Hi, guys. Tonight is all about finance and money management. In a few minutes, I will be joined by two outstanding accountants and financial experts. They will dive into their personal journey as well as give us financial tips and advice for both our business as well as our personal lives. Welcome to Creative Monday. I am your host, Mervin Budram, and we are creatives transforming lives. Good night again, and welcome to Creative Monday discussion. I am your host, Mervin Budram, and we will be with you for the next hour. And I'm very excited about tonight's topic. As you guys realize, every week I'm excited about a topic because, one, I'm very passionate about business. I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship. And this month of October, we've been diving into business, and we've been talking to different entrepreneurs, business owners, consultants, and just getting different angles and different perspective on business and entrepreneurship and how we can take our business to the next level. Tonight, I am excited to have two amazing guests with us, and we're going to bring them on soon. But before we do that, I just want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the show. For those who are tuned in on TNC, I want to say good night and welcome. And we also have those on YouTube. I want to say good night and welcome. And thank you guys for making Creative Monday discussion your show every Monday for business and creative entrepreneurship. You know, I want to thank our sponsors. We have Formosa Cafe, Coaching with Melanie, The Art Shack, ID7, Apparel, TNC, Budram Solutions, Task Belize Limited. Without these businesses, we wouldn't be able to have these shows, right? And so I also want to say, if you want to find out how you can be a part of the show, reach out to myself. If you want to find out how you can be a sponsor, reach out to myself. Our contact information is on the screen. But without any further ado, we have a lot we want to cover tonight. So I want to bring on our first guest for the evening. He is a consultant, an accountant, and I won't give too much of what he does. I want him to actually share his journey and his story with you. So we're going to bring on to the screen our first guest for the evening, Mr. Abner Valladares. Good evening, Mr. Abner. How are you doing?
Hey, good evening, Marvin. Good evening, listeners. Understand that we're being watched and listened to in Belize and internationally.
Yes. And that's a good point. And I want to say, guys, please let us know where you're watching from. Use the comment section to comment, to send questions. Actually, tonight, if you have questions, this would be a good night to get some financial accounting tips and advice, right? So use the comment section to comment below and let us know where you're tuned in from as well. So, Mr. Abner, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name is Abner Valladares. I'm the founder of a newly formed accounting firm here in Belmopan. The name of my firm is Summit Accounting.BZ. We specialize in providing mainly accounting, financial advice, and investment planning and advice for our clients.
Very good. Very good. And so you're a new firm. When we were talking last week, I think it was this year in the middle of COVID that you launched this new company. What drove you to do that in such a time like this?
Yeah, it's an idea I always had. It's something I always wanted to do. But I had fallen victim to being very comfortable in my 8 to 5 job. I have been blessed with very good job positions, okay paying positions. So there was no real reason for me to take this next step, no.
Yeah.
But when COVID came, like many people, I had to go on. Luckily, again, not on. I didn't lose my full pay. I went on half pay, and that made me think and decide that it's time to take that next step.
Yeah. Yeah, COVID has been such a disruptive time for a lot of people, but it's also been a great opportunity to step out in new areas. It was earlier this year. Someone said, "Hey, because this year is the perfect year to do the things you want to do, that dream you've always had. This is the perfect year to kind of really look at it and launch it." And I'm, it's excited to have you on the show and to have you share a little bit about your what you're doing and how you launch it. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing for your clients during this time. What are some of the things you've been doing to help business? Because accounting, a big part of accounting is helping other business keep their finances intact, making the best possible financial decision. And in a time like COVID, where everyone is kind of pinching pennies and trying to make sure that we kind of make it through this year, like what are some of the things you've been doing to help your clients?
Yeah, in one of our previous conversations, I was saying to you that clients really appreciate when you can be there for them when they most need it. And this is one of those times. Clients are going through some very tough
Yeah,
times, some of them losing or about to lose their business. And this is when financial experts and accountants can really play a role in helping their clients and showing them that they can be there also in bad times. So that
yeah.
is what I have been doing. I have been encouraging my clients to remain positive, not give up, and invest right now that it's quiet in improving their systems,
Hmm.
restructuring, reorganizing, restaffing,
Yeah.
and refinancing.
Yeah, that's good. And what I wanted to share or just ask you in that light, um, you know, in this climate, how hard or how easy. I don't know. You could let me know if it's hard or easy. Has it been to secure clients? Like how have that been in this time?
In every bad situation, there is always opportunities. And again, we just have to be mindful of those opportunities. We have to remain positive. COVID is just one of these other
Yeah,
hard times, but there are opportunities amongst it. Like I mentioned before, a lot of the clients realized that maybe they didn't have a strong finance or accounting department.
yeah.
So I saw this as an opportunity to offer my services to them, and it has worked. The response has been tremendous, and it's pointing to the direction that when things open up, it's just going to get better in terms of clientele.
What's some of your hopes for the next few months for you and your business?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think everybody is hoping that this COVID situation continues clearing up.
Yeah,
Um, and then, of course, I want to see my clients succeed,
yeah.
and along with their success will come the success of my
That's
business
good.
and more business for me.
I love that. I really love that. And it's amazing because what we do with our business, we're actually serving and supporting our clients. And in this time, like I know we've had to, communicate. A lot of communication's been going on with clients. We've had to go to them and say, "Hey, we realize with this time the cash flow isn't what it used to be. Let's work out an arrangement for payments and things like that." How do you balance that, like with the service side and understanding what they're going through as well as what your company is going through? How do you balance serve and support them in this time?
Yeah, I am lucky to have a strong team, and I also have a strong associate. And one of the things we always talk about during this time is about not paying too much time at the hours that we spend on our clients' work.
Mm,
Just figure out what our clients need done or help with, do it, and don't pay too much time to how much hours we're spending on our client time.
yeah.
For some of my clients, I had to reduce my fees all the way down to 50%.
Oh wow.
So we were pretty much still pushing the same amount of work, but for 50% of the pay.
Yeah.
And for us, it was just about staying afloat. I mean,
Yeah.
it was either that or we're without business.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of business have they've had to do that this year. I mean, a good business friend of mine told me 2020 is about surviving and getting into 2021, and if we can effectively do that and survive. When things pick up back again, we can start elevate our business. You mentioned a key thing. This is just my personal thing. I've always been hesitant or afraid. I will just put it out there. I've always been afraid to cut costs, because when you cut costs, it's hard to get it back to where it really needs to be. Is there any advice you would give in light of that, or what are your thoughts in light of that?
You have to be very strategic with where you cut cost. Um, One of them, for example, is you want to make sure you keep your key staff.
Yeah.
People understand right now if they have to go on partial pay or sometimes no pay, they still show up to work. I'm amazed at how humans are, no?
Yeah.
Um, and then you, you you have to restructure. Some businesses have had no other option but to restructure, cut, discontinue departments, discontinue certain products, move staff around, and in some unfortunate cases, even had to lay staff. But that's my advice would be that should be the last
Yeah.
resort.
Yeah, thanks for that response. I think that was a needed response. And then the other side of that question that I was asking is, um, let's say I'm offering this service for X amount of dollars, and because of this situation, I gotta cut my price down. I gotta bring my price down to half, or even sometimes a third of that. How is there a strategy in kind of getting that back? Because we're hoping that things can go back to somewhat of a normal, and many times when we lower our price, it's hard to get it back to where it needs to be. So what would you say about that? Or am I wrong in that thought process on a whole? Is there a better thought process to approach that on a whole?
No, I think you're right in line, 100% right. You have to adjust your personal spending, your personal lifestyle. You no longer have that full salary or full budget to live
Yeah.
off from. No, what some people have done, and what I personally did too, was I found little extra projects or jobs or investments. You can do your own farming. You can do things that you would probably take money out of your pocket. You end up doing yourself. So
Yeah.
whereas you're not making a lot of money, you are probably saving more than you were before.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very good. As a financial expert, and I wanted to ask you this: as a financial expert, are there certain trends in the finance that you are watching to decide how to spend and invest? And I asked you this question when we were having a conversation off air last week, but are there things that you're looking at in terms of with the government? And I know the airport had opened, and tourism, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we as business owners and entrepreneurs look at. From a financial position and your expertise, what should we be looking at in this time?
Yeah. When we reopen, there will be new products and services that will be needed. Some businesses had to drop out of the race, if you
Yeah.
want to call it that. So that left space for new business and new business ideas to be created. No?
Yeah.
So we look at that. We also look at niche markets or products, so things that maybe people need and that nobody else is providing. It could also be a service.
Yeah. You said something just now that triggered a thought for me. Dave Ramsey, one of the leaders, thought leaders that I admire and I follow a lot. I have a lot of his books, but I was watching one of his show, and he said, in this time, people are closing their doors, and he was saying that once you close your door, it's going to be hard to reopen your door. And so do whatever you need to do to keep your door open. Like you said, if you need to cut your price in half, if you need to go offer some free service, but keep your door open, because once you close that door, it's going to be really hard to reopen back after a time like this. What do you think about that thought process that he was putting out there?
Yes, I truly believe in that same thing, and that's why I'm very proud of, especially the Belizean businesses that have managed
Yeah.
to survive, and I'm very hopeful that tourism returns,
Yeah.
and also that we've learned a lesson that we cannot just depend fully on tourism. We need to look at other areas of diversification going forward.
Yeah, and that is why we're doing this show as well. And I wanna say to all the entrepreneurs, the creatives, those who have ideas you've been sitting on for a while. I actually was meeting with a business owner today, and he was walking me through a new application and a new product that he's getting ready to bring to the market. And I was amazed. I was blown away, and I'm like, whoa, right here, right out of Belmopan. And so this is the time to kind of really tap in. And I want to say to those young entrepreneurs, those thinkers, those thought leaders, let's get out there, let's get it, bring your product to the market, because this is the time for that. I just want to thank you, Mr. Abner, for just being with us. Thank you for giving us your thought. Guys, Mr. Abner is not done yet. He's going to come back. We just want to take a quick commercial break to just, thank and highlight our sponsors. And then we have another guest we're going to bring on. And then later on in the show, we're going to bring back Mr. Abner as well as our other guests for some Q&A time. So right now we're going to take a very short commercial break, and we will be right back.
Over the next few moments, I want to challenge you to think outside of the box, because the box you're in is too small for the world that you have.
Next level of results requires the next level of thinking.
The fundamental goal of leadership is not just to get better yourself, but to make others better.
Don't let insecurity allow you to neglect the gift that God's given you.
When there's difficulty, we are called to go first.
We need you as a leader much longer than you are set up to last right now.
So I think that's a test of longevity, is how well you navigate change.
Because our world needs confident, humble, bold, and integrity-fused leadership.
Let's lead not for likes tonight, but let's lead for a legacy tomorrow. Let's give the next generation a story to tell.
Welcome back to Creative Monday discussion. Tonight we are talking about finance and money management, and we have some amazing accountant, financial experts that's with us, giving their insight, their journey, and their story. We just want to say again, for those, I've been getting actually some very interesting texts. Thank you guys for texting as well. I want to encourage you to be, I said interesting, but it's a great text. Some very people are texting. I said the information is very informative. It's great. And so I want to thank you. We want to hear it from you. So please use the comment section so that we can know that you're with us. Again, we're going to have a Q&A section in the end. So if you have questions for the accountants, we have 2 accountants in the house, 2 financial experts in the house. So get your questions ready. Use the comment section to submit those questions. And again, I want to say for those on TNC, thank you guys for watching. Those on YouTube and right here on Facebook, thank you guys for watching. Let us know where you're tuned in from. So without any further ado, we want to bring on our next guest. She is a young entrepreneur as well, a business owner, a consultant. I actually met her through YLI, the Young Leaders of America, a couple of years, 2018, I believe. Yes, I was in Boston. I was a part of a cohort from Belize that went to Boston for 5 weeks, and we had an amazing time where we learned a lot and we built family over there, right? So it's a privilege and honor for me to introduce to you guys Miss Fatima R. She is an accountant right from the Cayo era as well in San Ignacio. So good evening, Fatima. How are you doing?
Hi, good evening. I'm very good, thanks. And yourself?
I am doing fine. I was enjoying the music as always. I love these little beats because it just kind of pumps me up, right? So Fatima, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, who you are, and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Fatima R, and I'm a businesswoman out of the Cayo district. I am involved in business consultancy with a major and a passion for accounting. So that's been more around what I've been doing. I am one of the co-founder of a family-owned business, L3Gs and Associates.
Awesome. Tell me, what does L3G stands for? That's a very unique name, and from the conversation we were having last week, there is such an amazing story behind that. So, guys, you want to hear the story? Tell us a little bit about L3G and the origins of the name.
Yes, thank you very much, Mervin, for this question, because I think I don't do justice in sharing our story. So L3Gs came about because when we were forming this firm 4 years ago, we were deciding on a name. Then we finally came to realize that what best name is in creating this name under the honor of our mother, because like I mentioned, this is a family-owned business run by two sisters. And we have our mother that has a grocery store for the past 20 years. Plus years, and she has had us actively involved in the business, and she has been the role model, carving me and us, getting us involved in that little business, which is still existent, one of the few Belizean grocery store still existent. So L stands for Leonardo, which is my mother's name, and three girls because it's three girls that practicing in the accounting industry. Two of us in the firm and she's in private.
Awesome. That is amazing. And I love those stories. I love to see that legacy from parents pass on to the kids. I'm a product of both my parents had businesses. I grew up working with them, assisting them, learning so much from them, and actually didn't realize how much I learned from them until recently. I've been processing a lot of that. So it's amazing. Fatima, you were telling us last week when we were talking that, your mom still have loyal clients to this day. And there have been many huge establishments that built around her, but she is still functioning, and she has clients that will actually check her first before going to those other businesses. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. And this is one of the intakes that I've gotten as a businesswoman from her, customer loyalty. And I think that you create loyalty from your customer in not just the product that you offer, but the way that you treat them, and just how they feel when they come to your store. Because my mom is not just a store that you come and buy product, but it's also the service, and it's also the willingness to provide that service that they need.
Awesome. So I want to extract that out for you guys that are watching. Thank you again for tuning in. Again, submit your questions. But I want to pull that out. If you're an entrepreneur or you're stepping into the business space, even more now than ever, customer service and customer loyalty is key in this time, right? And so I love to hear that story that, your mom to this day still have clients loyal to her. Fatima, what are some of the lessons you learned? And you answered some of that, but is there more lesson that you've learned from your mom that you've brought to your business? Because your mom was into sales and she had a store. I know you're into accounting. So what were some of the lessons that you learned that you're bringing to your business right now, besides customer loyalty, because you've said that already?
Yes, right. So, well, when my mom used to have this store, we were young girls, and we thought that it was insignificant when she sent us to attend to the customers, or she even provided credit for neighborhoods, and us just jotting down, the accounts, and every 15th or every end of the week, they would come and we would add up their bills, and just how her strategy on her approach to that, no? So this had been having us involved directly with that business, and just these key points in how to deal with our clients, have been a really outstanding point for us as an entrepreneur growing up.
Fatima, tell me, how do you balance your personal and business when it comes to accounting? Because you're an entrepreneur, you're running the business, right? And So, and plus you're dealing with the finance, and then you also are getting paid through the company, hopefully. And how, I say hopefully because as entrepreneurs, sometimes we don't get paid. We work for a while before we tap into the pay section, right? But how do you balance it, the personal and the business, the accounting side for your company?
Okay, so I just want to share it with my viewers, that most people think that we accountants have everything or acts together, but it is only when I developed this business I realized that I didn't have it much, and that I had to get it together, because if I'm sharing in getting your finances together, in getting, I had to lead by example. That's what I believe in. So like you said at the beginning, at the inception of every business is an investment, but then I had to come to a point in our business where we had to say, okay, we need to assign ourselves a salary.
Yeah.
And we need, especially during this time of COVID, it's a really eye opener where you want to really look at what you're doing in your finances.
Yeah. We have some questions are coming in, so we want to bring them up on the screen just to submit them. Can we get the first question up that's coming in? Can you speak about market saturation? What do you believe contributes to it, or what can be done to avoid or fail into a saturated market? Let's do this. Actually, what I want to do, we're going to have a Q&A section where both accountants are on the screen, and we want to tackle those questions together, right? But Fatima, is there any final thoughts that you would like to submit about your business and what you're doing and your journey before we take another commercial break?
I just want to share that I'm really grateful to sharing, and feel free to to tab in and ask your question. We're here to to assist with whatever questions you guys have.
Awesome. So guys, what we're going to do right now, we want to take another commercial break. I want to thank you, Fatima, again for being with us tonight, and Abner as well. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to jump into the Q&A section, and we're going to bring that question back. And we also have some other questions that came in earlier that we want to tackle, right? Again, we have two. I think this is the first time we have two guests that are in the same exact field. So we really wanted you guys to get a double whammy tonight and really kind of get a full house tonight, right? So let's take a commercial break. And when we're back, we're going to have both Abner and Fatima on the screen with us to answer our questions. And we are back here again on the Creative Monday Discussion Show. Just letting you guys know that we are here every Monday at 7 p.m. CST time and MT time. I learned that Belize actually switched to MT time certain times of the year, but we are here every Monday at 7 p.m. and we have different guests that comes in. And what we're doing, the whole point of the show is to inspire, motivate, and transform lives through creativity and entrepreneurial innovation, right? And so thank you guys for tuning in and for making this show your show. We're going to have Abner and Fatima join us, and we have some question Q&A time that we want to dive into. And again, if you have questions, submit it, and we will do our best to try answer as much questions. And if we don't get to it all, you can still submit it, and then you can do some follow-up afterwards. I'm sure both of them would be love to assist you and answer those questions. But my first question for both of you, and anyone can go first. We can feed off each other. We can add add to the discussion, but what does it mean to manage your finance well? You know, we've been hearing a lot about that, but what does it mean to manage our finance well? Anyone want to go first? Maybe Abner?
Good evening, Ms. Chi. A pleasure to share this platform with you. Marvin, thanks again for the opportunity.
You are welcome.
Congratulations. I think it's an excellent show. It's about making a difference. You know,
Thank
there's
you.
a lot of other shows, but it's about criticizing and complaining. This is a show where we can say what we're doing and inspire others to do the same. The question, what was the question again?
What the question is, what when it comes to managing our financing well, what does that mean when you hear manage your finance well? What does that mean to you?
I believe there are many people will give you many different answers, and there's no one real master it all kind of answer. Tonight I came prepared with 5 principles that they don't really teach you in any of the finance classes. I list them very quickly. People can write them down and they will see how it applies as we go throughout the show. No? One of them is understanding and knowledge of finance, money, accounting. The second one is planning. The third one would be timing. And the fourth would be discipline. And the fifth one is consistency. And I'm sure that I could have come up with maybe another set of principles that we need to apply in our daily lives and also in our financial management.
What I love about those principles, Abner, that applies both on our personal finance as well as our business finance, because and we were talking about that last week. You know, how we manage our finance personally directly affects our business financial management.
I was going to mention that these principles apply to both personal and business financial management.
Yeah, Ms. Chi, what are your thoughts on the question?
Well, hi again, Abner. We meet again. That's very nice. And so I think Abner had said quite a few main points, and what I just want to add is to just sum up everything that he has mentioned is proper accountability. I think that is one of the things that we fail a lot, where we properly organize ourselves and are accountable for our finances. And I think people need to, especially with this COVID, it should be an eye opener that we become more accountable for our finances.
Very good. And I asked that question first before we dive into the questions from our guests, because I feel like it's important to lay the foundation. And we're talking about financial management today. We're talking about finances, and it's really important that there's a foundation that we're stepping out on. And I love that accountability and those principles that we can translate across board. So we want to pull up the first questions for our audience. I understand there's a lot of questions coming in. We will do our best to try address these questions. Can we get the first question up on the screen? Can you speak about market saturation? What do you believe contributes to it, or what can be done to avoid or fall into a saturated market? Anyone want to take that first?
A saturated market, meaning like many people are involved in the same industry, and it's becoming where everybody comes. But I do like for myself, I can speak for my industry in the accounting. I see every year students graduating with an accounting degree. But that's where you're key strategizing and looking at loopholes that accountants have. And I think that was one thing that L3Gs and Associates had came out to stand out, because we had did our market research and we looked at the loopholes. We have very good accounting firms, but there were still loopholes that we could have given rise to, and that was opportunity that we saw now we took.
Yeah. And one of the things if I can add to that or jump in with this question, I'm in the marketing, digital marketing sphere, and there's new designers, new web developers coming out all the time. There's new companies launching all the time, and so But it's important, and we talked a little bit about this on last week's episode, the importance of doing research. I think it was Giselle from BVC, Belize Virtual Center. She was talking about this, the importance of doing your research. Before you go into a market, you want to know what's going on in that market, who's in that market. Is this the right market for me to be in? You don't just launch a business because, oh yeah, I have this bright idea. Yes, that's awesome, but then have someone, is someone doing that already? Is it going to work here? I shared last week how I had this crazy idea I wanted to do, and when I was in Boston, I was meeting with some business consultants, and they were clear. They was like, hey, that's great, but it will not work in Belize. You might want to launch it in Trinidad or launch it in Barbados, but it will not work at Belize because of the population as well as the culture of the country, right? So do your research. That is my contribution to that question with saturated market. Mr. Abner, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think many times we are afraid to be creative and start our own unique businesses. We just want to go with what everybody else is doing because it's working for them. And that's when we realize that we end up, the Belizean market is too small for too many people to be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. So let's bring up what's the next question from one of our guests? Not guests, sorry, one of our viewers. Okay, question. This is from Miss Chelsea. It says, for a new and small business entrepreneur, how easy or hard is it to develop an accounting system or structure when a business is operating for a few months? What platform would you recommend? Something simple like Access or robust like QuickBooks?
Ms. Chi, you can go ahead with that one.
Okay, sure. So we work with different types of clients, and we have worked a lot with small businesses. And one of the main things that I've learned is that I've learned to work along with your budget, because small businesses are just coming up, and our intention is not to discourage them and have them shut down few months down the road, because that was one of my motivation to get into this type of business. I wanted to see business survive. So what I do is if they can't afford a software or something, we start a step at a time. Start gathering, a simple step as start gathering your receipts. Start be more responsible when you go and purchase something. Try documenting the sales that you are doing. Don't take those things for granted, because at the end of the year, you still need a report and you want to know your performance. And those little small tactics, those little small things make a huge difference in small businesses. And I've had businesses that come with a notebook here, and it's so amazing how much information we can summarize for them with just notes like that.
It's good.
I just want to add to that my advice too is that you start your accounting system as early on. A few months into running your business is still okay, but you should start your accounting from as early on, because if you don't have proper accounting, you will not know whether you're making it or not. A second thing is you don't have to start with a robust, expensive system. You can start with Excel or database or something like that. But slowly or start thinking one time about moving into a program like QuickBooks. QuickBooks is not very expensive and it's very easy to use. And the third point I would like to make is that if you don't have the knowledge or feel comfortable setting it up yourself, hire a professional like myself or Ms. Chi that will work with your budget and set something up and set it up properly for you.
Very good. Thanks for those answers. Both great answers. And what I would like to add as a non-accountant person in the room, because it's not my strength. Accounting, I'll be real with you. I'm the one who I'll hire an accountant because accounting stress me out. Accounting stress me out when I have to sit down and try to figure out money and those things. But it's so important and it's so needed. And I knew that. And so I agree. Excel. I started with Excel. But then for the operation, and I wanted to say this because I know people are looking for tools and handles. In my type of business, I needed an automated system that sent out a bill, because we had monthly bills that were recurring bills, and it was just too much to start to keep track of that. But I wasn't at a point where I was where I could afford the QuickBooks at the time. And then that's when I discovered, I did some research online, and then there's this application called Wave App Accounting, and it's a free If you want, just go waveapps.com. Waveapps.com. It's a free accounting software. It's almost like QuickBooks. It does I would say maybe 70 from the free version of it does about 75% of what QuickBooks does. But I was able to run my accounting, do my invoicing, send out receipts. I was able to customize it so the receipts had my brand and everything, and it was all free. And then it wasn't until this year actually that we switched over to QuickBooks, and then we hired an accountant, Miss Chi, to come in and help clean up some of our mess over the years, right? But I'm just saying that to say that start somewhere. And I agree with that, and grow. And then there are tools out there that are free. So waveapp.com, that's one such platform that you can use. Do we have any more questions from our viewing audience? All right, this one is from Melanie Escalante. Curious, are you and your guests finding ways to include your children in your business? And if so, how are they responding? Oh, I love this question. Let me pass it to my guest first. I'll be a gentleman and pass it to my guest first.
Yeah, if I may go first, just today I was having a talk with my, I should say, 10-year-old. He turns 10 in the next few days, November 6th.
Awesome.
And I was telling him, son, once you turn 10, I will no longer be treating you like a little boy. You're an adult now. Wow. And I want you to start thinking about what you will do on the summer holidays or even weekends, and just decide, do you want to go and gain work experience already? Do you want to do something you like, or do you want to start doing a business? Just think about it, and we will do it. The response is there, and I think kids, like many people, they just need a little push, a little guidance, and they will follow through.
Very good. Ms. G?
So, like Marvin mentioned, in 2018, I was part of this program, the YLI, Young Leaders of the Americas Initiative. And I was placed for my internship in Economic Arkansas. And there, it was amazing. It was not really about accounting, but it was about finance in school. And that was very interesting because I never thought that from little things we could have already start training our generation to be better financially stable, to make better financial decisions so that they could make a difference, when they're all grown. I brought back with me some material that Economic Arkansas shared with me, and that is the one of the book that I have my son reading. Things like, you give them allowances to go to school. How are they going to spend it? Do they want to buy something? How are they saving to buy that? Encouraging them to do little tactics. We want to change the mindsets of our children. We want to start from there because they're our future for tomorrow, know? So I think making a difference from now in those areas. So one of the ways that I have my son involved is by reading those financial books that are geared especially for school materials.
Yeah, very good. And it's a great question because we have to think legacy. We have to think generation. It's not about it's not just about what we're doing now. We have to create something that will outlive us. And we have our kids. My oldest daughter, actually, she's always asking me, okay, when can I go to the office to work? She's always coming up with creative ideas and things to do. And it's important as even as business owners, as entrepreneurs, that we foster that. And so one of the things we do with our kids, we listen. We give them a platform to speak, and we listen, and where we can insert their ideas in, we insert their ideas in. Actually, my daughter, just today, she came up with something. She was like, hey, I think it would be a great idea if we do this. And I was like, actually, that's a great idea. Let's do it. And so that builds confidence in them. It helps them to know they're included in the business. They're not this appendage that's just kind of hanging on there. And we're actually getting ready to do some marketing stuff, and we're going to have our kids be involved with it, right? And so it's important to include our kids, especially if we want them to continue with that legacy even after us, right? Our daughters are already they know TAS.BZ, that's my main company, TAS.BZ. That's their company. They own it as much as we own it, and so they have a say. And that's also why it's important for us to teach them principles and values to manage things well, like financial management, keeping good account. One last thought, then we'll jump back into questions from our audience. There was a situation with my daughter. She broke something, and we were teaching her the value of taking care of things because of the being accountable with finance. And what we did was like, okay, to replace this, you need to come up with 25% of this, and we will come up with the 75% of it. Well, my daughter, being the young entrepreneur that she was, went to Granny, went to this one, went to that one, and said, hey, can I clean? Can I wash? Can I sweep? Can I do something so that I can make this money? So it's teaching them from a young age responsibility, teaching them from a young age accountability, then creating an environment for them to exercise that and put that, get it out there, right? So we want to hear from our audience, viewers. I want to say thank you guys for viewing. Keep the questions coming. What questions do we have next for our experts tonight? Again, from Miss Anthony. Also, would you recommend setting up business account separate from your personal account? This is a good question. I know that many entrepreneurs are using their personal account. Is there a con to this? I'll pass this one to the accountants.
Definitely, it's a mistake I have seen over and over, especially with these mom and pop businesses. And there's a lot of mom and pop businesses in Belize that are no longer very small. They're medium-sized hotels, resorts. But they believe that the money of the resort, because they put in the money to build it in the first place, I'm using a resort, for example, they believe that it's their money and they can just do with it however they want, until they realize that it's a very big mistake to mix personal with business money. That's the direct answer.
Very good. Miss, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I just want to add, this is amazingly, this is one of the biggest question that we have of nearly every client that come to visit us. Separating, and it's detaching your personal from business and treating your business as a business, especially if you want to grow, and that's why we encourage even like owners of business, assign yourself a salary, so that you can distinguish what's from the business to be reinvested and what's from personal. But I definitely agree that you should keep both separate.
Awesome. And guys, we're going to move quickly to the next question because we're running out of time and we want to get as much of these questions answered tonight. So can we get the next question up on the screen? This is from Ms. Tricia Zetina. Why is it important to pay yourself salary rather than take the profit to live from? Very good question.
Many times, people that go into business, that becomes your only source of income. So you got to survive until you can determine at the end of the year, for example, what your profits were. So what you do is you pay yourself a salary, just like how you would pay a manager if you were working somewhere else or managing another business, and you had to pay a manager to run that business. Your time and your knowledge, your expertise has a high value, and you have to compensate yourself for that.
It's good. Very
okay.
good.
Just like it's important to assign yourself a salary, because owners do work very hard for their businesses. It's also important to just not live off of your profit. Why? Because just as we have personal goals, we also have business goals. And how will we take our business to the next level if we keep on, consuming these profits? We want to reinvest so that we can expand, so that we can reach larger markets, so that because we can focus on our goals, so we can just reap profits immediately. Assign yourself a salary that will give you a limit and that will keep you in line.
I totally agree with that.
Totally great answers. Those are great response. Our behind the scenes team is telling us more questions are piling in. So let's bring up the next question. We want to maximize these times. So this is from Ras Welch. I have a question. If you have intentions of opening a small plumbing service company in Belize, what's the kind of money you would need for something like that? I'm not sure. I guess the first thought that comes to me is you got to do some research in the market to know what's needed budget wise. That's the first thought that comes to me. But again, let the expert accountants answer this one.
Yeah, small is relative. I don't know what Mr. Welch means by small, but you're absolutely right, Mr. Marvin. You have to do your research, and your business has to be adequate to the market. You cannot come in too small; nobody will hire you. If you come in too big, nobody will hire you. Do your market research. Put together a little budget of what you realistically expect to make. How much it will cost you to make that money, what will be your profits, and then you decide if it's the correct step to take.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. So add to that, one, Marvin has mentioned research, which is something very important, and two is testing your market. You need to test if it's a viable business. And three, how serious are you about your business? Because I've met people that have been operating for 15 years and they have not officially registered your business with companies registry. If you're serious about your business and if you're serious about getting your business registered and going there, L3Gs and Associates will walk you through that process, and then we can give you a price on how to start from there going on. And I guess Mr. Abner, I'm not sure if he offers those services, but he can also reach out to him.
Very good. Very good. And can we get the next question up? We're just gonna go through the questions because I want to prefer our audience tonight. I just want you guys to know we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate the questions, and we want to do our best to answer these questions. So, do we have a next question for our guest tonight? This is from Hada Bean. How do you set up a business with non-family partners? Do you have recommendation on how to share the profit, the work, getting paid, etc.? Very good question.
You have to. It's excellent to work in partnerships, first of all, because you bring different talents and different ideas to the table, and probably also you're putting together capital that otherwise you wouldn't have been able to come up with by yourself. In that process, the best thing to do is from the very beginning, place, especially in writing, how the business will be operated, who will be responsible for what, and then, of course, how each person will be compensated. If it's a 50-50 partnership, you would expect at the end of the year, but you would expect that whatever is going to be paid out to the partners, that it's a 50-50. If it's a 40-60 partnership, you can use that formula again to pay yourselves.
Right. Just to reiterate the same thing, right? You have to have a really clear understanding of what each partner have in the business. There's different partnership as dormant partners, they're very active partners, and how you distribute the work, the shares, and then you go according to that. But it's very advisable to have a clear understanding on each one's role in the business.
Thank you, guys. Great questions and great answers we're getting here. Do we have any more questions for our guest tonight? What are your views about paying Social Security for self-employed persons? Oh, this is interesting. I have a beef with this one. Miss Cheese laughing because we had a debate about this in a sense, and I was very strong on my positions. But I will reserve my positions for tonight. I'll leave the accountants to share their thoughts. Who want to go first?
I encourage people, especially my clients, especially if they don't have other retirement plans in place, like a pension plan or maybe time crept up on them and they didn't have time to set up a proper insurance for when they retire. Social Security came up with that plan so that self-employed people would be able to contribute, so that when they retire, they also have something to get from Social Security.
Miss G?
Right. The same thing. I think social security is one of the minimum thing that you engage in if you don't have any other financial plan for yourself. If you don't have a medical insurance, a health insurance, social security covers for when you're sick. So if you don't have any other plan in place, then social security is something that I do really encourage at least the minimum to have. Now, if you have other financial security in place, then it would be optional. It's all up to you. But we work in wanting to secure our future or securing the future of our children should something happen to us. So we want to not practice not have anything at all. That we have the option at least to minimum be paying self-employed social security.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you guys so much. Great answers. I'll reserve my comments on social security for another time. If you want to know my position, talk to me privately. We'll not put that out there publicly. But do we have any other questions? Heda, again, how do you do market research to find out if something is a good idea without giving away the good idea for someone else to steal? Very, very good. Very, very good question.
Yeah, it's a tough question actually.
It is.
It's one way of doing it is of you keeping it tight and going out there and do the raw data collection yourself. That would entail coming up with questionnaires, interviewing people yourself. The internet has a lot of information now that you could be getting behind the scenes. Nobody knows that you're getting that information.
Yeah.
The Statistical Institute of Belize has a website. They also have a lot of data that a lot of people don't know is available to the general public. The Statistical Institute of Belize, Ms. Hera, they are also open to receiving people, and you apply for whatever information you need, and they would facilitate as much as they can, as long as it's not sharing other businesses or the competition information. If it's financial information you're looking at, there's websites like the Central Bank of Belize. They publish financials for institutions and things like that. And there's many other websites that you can access without having to go to someone or to people who might take your idea and run away with it.
Very good. Very good. And I think we have one more question that came in that we want to answer before. We have about 4 more minutes for the show, so we want our response to be concise. And again, we want to thank those for watching and tuning in and submitting a question. But we have one more question that we want to answer. Meaning working with maybe yourself and one person. I think this is in reference to a previous question that came in. Is this the question on partnership or
the plumbing business?
The plumbing, yes. Okay, there we go. Do you have any thoughts on that, or is just a comment?
No, I think he's looking at starting a small business that will probably be able to serve him as a stable source of income. That's a very smart idea. So you want to know, you probably want to start with how much you're earning right now, how much you're comfortable earning for yourself after you have paid that other person. A small business like that, you can start it. Again, you have to do your calculations, but a couple $1,000, $10,000 or $15,000. The idea here is that you start small, like he said, himself and one other person, but you got to think big. You're not going to stay by yourself and one person forever. You have to think growth. You have to take whatever you make in year 1, reinvest and double it. And in year 2, you have 2 staff, and in year 3 staff, and so on.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Abner. I just want to thank both Mr. Abner and Miss Fatima for coming on tonight and just sharing their expertise, sharing their story and their journey with us, guys. This hour went too fast. There was so much more that we wanted to dive into. I didn't even get to my questions, so we gotta bring you guys back for a part 2 of this. But I just want to thank you guys for being with us. Thank you so much for your time. Thank everyone for viewing and tuning in. We want to thank our sponsors, Task Belize Limited, the Coaching with Melanie, Formosa Cafe Belize, the Art Shock, ID7 Apparel, TNC, and Budrum Solutions. We want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I want to say God bless you and have a great evening. We will see you again next week, Monday, same time. And we're going to be talking about creativity and content creation. So it's going to be a very great topic. See you guys next week. Have a good evening.